In this video, we will see how to handle multiple responses type from a backend service running on Nonstop. Before you begin, you should be already familiar with creating projects and working with integration YAMLs. So, we will focus specifically on the response handling capabilities. For this demonstration, we will be using a DDL-based customer backend service on Nonstop. It is a straightforward service that creates new customers and fetches existing customer records by customer ID. Let us open the integration.yaml to view the configuration. As you can see, the customer service is exposed using REST APIs. We have a GET endpoint for fetching customers by ID and a POST endpoint for creating new customers. Both endpoints are being mapped to their respective routes. Let's examine them one by one. Route 1, Get Customer. Here's the first route for retrieving customer data. We have configured the basic flow with three components. First, the Atlas map transforms the incoming JSON request. Then we convert the JSON to DDL format. Finally, we will send the DDL request to the Nonstop serving using the invoke Nonstop service sync component. From this point, the backend service can return two different response types. If the customer exists, it returns the complete customer data. If the customer doesn't exist, it returns an error DDL definition. The question is, how do we handle these different responses effectively? This is where the DDL Response Choice component becomes essential. Let us add the component by clicking the plus icon and selecting DDL Response Choice. This component is specifically designed to inspect DDL responses and route the flow based on the response content. It consists of two main sections: inspect blocks where you define your conditions and otherwise block that handles all other cases. Consider it as a conditional routing mechanism for DDL responses. Now, let us click on Inspect drop-down. You will see three different inspector types available. Let me explain each one before we implement them. The first option is the DDL byte location inspector. This inspector examines specific byte positions in your DDL response. The configuration parameters are from byte, which specifies where to start looking; length, which defines the number of bytes to examine; type, which indicates whether those bytes contain numeric or string data; comparator, which defines the comparison operations such as equals, not equals, less than or greater than; and value, which is what you are comparing against. If the comparison returns true, the inspect block executes. Otherwise, the flow moves to the otherwise block. The second option is the DDL field inspector. Instead of working with byte positions, this inspector uses DDL field names directly. The parameters include value, which is what you are looking for; comparator, which functions the same as in DDL byte location inspector; and DDL field, which is actual field name from your DDL definition. You can either type the field name manually or select it directly from registry using the icon provided. Custom Response Inspector. Before we implement this, note that you can add multiple inspect blocks. The logic works exactly like an if-else chain. The first condition that matches will be executed. If there are no matches, the otherwise block runs. The third option provides complete flexibility. Here, value and comparator are optional because you write your own evaluation logic. Click the plus icon to get a boilerplate template. The message body contains your DDL response and you can implement whatever custom logic your use case requires. Returning true executes the inspect block, while returning false continues evaluation to the next inspect block or the otherwise block. Since in this example the backend returns only two response types, we will use just one inspect block and one otherwise block. For this demonstration, we will see the byte location inspector in this route and the field inspector in the next route. Let us implement this for the get customer route. Based on our backend service implementation, when a customer does not exist for its specified ID, it returns the text no record found from byte 4 with a length of 15 characters. We will configure the byte location inspector with these parameters. We will use the equals comparator to compare against the value. Now, when the DDL response contains no record found at that location, the inspect block will be executed. Let us add the error handling logic by converting it into an appropriate error bean type. In the otherwise block, meaning the customer exists, it will handle the success response. It will map this to process the customer data and return it to the client. The get customer route is now complete. Now, let us move to the second route for creating a customer. We have the same setup done initially. JSON to DDL conversion followed by the invoke nonstop service camlets. However, the backend can again return two different responses. If the customer ID already exists, it returns an error indicating the ID is not unique. Otherwise, it successfully creates the customer. This time, let us demonstrate the field inspector approach. We will add the DDL Response Choice component again. When a duplicate customer exists, the backend service returns an error number of 1 in a field called error number. Instead of checking byte positions, we will check this specific field directly. Let us configure the field inspector. Use the equals comparator to compare the value against the DDL field. For DDL field, you can type it manually or select it from the registry. Here, the DDL fields is selected from the registry. As you can see, all fields from my DDL definitions are available here. We will select error number. When error numbers equals 1, this inspect block executes and it will handle the duplicate error scenario by converting it into an appropriate error type. In the otherwise block, it means the customer is created successfully, so we will process the success response accordingly. The create customer route is now complete. Let us quickly recap what we have configured. We have set up both routes to handle multiple responses types effectively. The get customer route uses the byte location inspector to check for no record found. The create customer route uses the field inspector to check the error number DDL field. In both cases, we handle the error scenario in the inspect block and the success scenario in the otherwise block. If your backend service returns more than 2 response types, you can add multiple inspect blocks with different conditions. They will be evaluated sequentially, just like if-else-if statements in programming. That is all for this demonstration. We have covered how to handle multiple response types from Nonstop backend services using the DDL Response Choice component and its 3 inspector types. This approach gives you flexible, configuration-driven response handling without writing complex conditional logic. Thanks for watching.